Alright, today we're going to install the AMP Research BedStep onto a Dodge pickup truck. This application is for Dodge 1500, 2500, and 3500. We want to start out with the tools that we're going to need for the job. We're going to need a torque wrench and a ratchet. We're going to need a 17mm socket, a 15mm socket, a 3/16 Allen bit, and a 10mm open-end wrench. Okay, on the Dodge BedStep, we're going to start by assembling the mounting bracket to the linkage assembly. So you're going to want to get your hardware kit out and start with the two longer 17mm bolts, and you're going to put a washer underneath the head on each of them. And then you're going to use these bolts to mount the bracket to the linkage. And you're going to want to mount this bracket to the top here in this configuration with these counterbore recesses towards the rear of the linkage. So get these bolts started and tighten them most of the way. Okay, now that we've got the bolts mostly tight, we're going to use our torque wrench and torque these mounting bolts to 33 foot-pounds. Now that we have our upper mount bolted to our linkage, we're going to go over and install this onto the truck, and then the final step is going to be mounting the step pad onto the linkage. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our 10mm open-end wrench, and we're going to remove this stock bracket. Okay, now that we've removed our bracket, we're going to remove these bolts here using a 15mm socket. And these are the bolts we're going to use to mount the linkage onto the truck. So you want to use a ratchet for this and a 15mm socket, and go ahead and break these bolts loose. Okay, now that we've removed our bracket and we've removed these bolts, we're going to discard these bolts and use the two supplied bolts in your hardware kit with a 15mm head, and you're going to use these bolts to attach the linkage to the truck. Now that we have our bolts most of the way tight, we're going to use our torque wrench and tighten these to 41 foot-pounds. Now we're going to install the step pad, and the step pad has two positions. It has an outboard and an inboard position. For the Dodge truck, you're going to want to install it in the outboard position. So you're going to want to take your step pad and take the three supplied weld nuts in the kit and slide these into the first, the second, and the fourth slot, and then carefully install this onto the lower mount of the linkage. And then go ahead and use the supplied Allen screws and screw these in from the bottom. Now be very careful not to over tighten these. Just get them most of the way tight with your Allen wrench, and then make sure you use a torque wrench to achieve the final torque of 6 foot-pounds. You don't want to over tighten these, you could damage the step pad. Now we're going to torque these screws on the bottom here to the final torque of 6 foot-pounds or 72 inch-pounds. Okay, now that we've finished the installation of the BedStep for the Dodge, it's ready for action. Just a note that you can see the step pad comes with a push label. You can go ahead and remove that, but that's just a reminder that this is the spot that you want to push with your foot, this rear corner right here. You don't want to push right here. You want to push right here to make sure that the step deploys easily. And when you're ready to retract the step, just give it a touch with your foot and it'll retract.